Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone. So this is an experiment for me with Hike Hearth, but I am going to be sitting here doing a whole bunch of editing for the next couple of hours. Let me explain to you what's going on, especially if you've never been on our channel before. So Hike Hearth Birding is a channel that I run with my husband, who is a birder of over 10 years and also a conservationist who runs nest box programs in our local area. He also is president of our local conservation trust, and an avid birder and wildlife photographer. So we started our channel back in January of this year, and we put out a podcast that used to be weekly, but is now going to a bi-weekly format. So that means twice a month on Thursdays, we will be putting out a podcast episode. Anyways, I do a lot of the work behind the scenes with the video editing and putting out shorts and whatnot. And usually on a day like today, when I have the day off, I am sitting around doing editing and thought I would give you guys a kind of look behind the curtain, and maybe some of you might like just hanging out with me while I'm working on projects. I will tell you that while I have degrees in microbiology and cell biology and marketing, all of the video editing and whatnot is new to me. It's something that I had to learn as we've gone along. So if any of you have any tips or tricks, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know if you're watching this live stream or later as a replay. I probably will not implement suggestions that I see in the chat as I'm working, because got a little bit of ADHD and I got a lot going on in front of me right now. So I'm going to focus on my process. But yeah, welcome to the stream. And let's get to work because I have a lot to do. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is some work in DaVinci Resolve. I am a huge fan of DaVinci Resolve. I am not an Adobe fan because, quite honestly, I just don't see the point of paying that monthly fee when you can download this amazing software for free. So, okay. I have already used DaVinci Resolve this week to edit our full-length podcast, and that posted live yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. It was the day that it was due to go live. So there's a couple additional things that we do here. So we have gotten some feedback from some of our viewers who say that although they love the podcast, sometimes they don't have time to watch the whole thing. And they wish that the 3 topics that we cover every week, a question of the week, a featured topic, and then a nature curiosity, which typically nowadays has been nestbox updates, they wish they could see those as individual videos, because when they don't have a lot of time, those are much shorter and still informative. So what I usually do with the full-length podcast is I also create individual segment videos for each one of those 3 segments. I've already done that for the question of the week, but I haven't done it for the featured topic, and I haven't done it for our nature curiosity video. So now what I need to do is take that full-length podcast video and I need to slice and dice it. And so we're going to go through that. And while we do, I can talk to you a little bit about what our topics were for this week, since you're probably watching because you have an interest in this kind of thing. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a new project. So I need to create a video for the featured topic of the week. So what I can tell you is this was episode 18. It's our featured topic. And our featured topic for this week was, oh yeah, that's right. It was photographing birds in flight. So we went through in that in that topic, we went through some of Dustin's photography that he's captured of birds in flight, and we talked through how to best go about capturing that kind of stuff. Okay, so I have my project all set up and ready to go. I've noticed that my background music has stopped playing though. So give me a second. I want to see what's up with that because I don't know about you guys, but I need music when I am playing. Oh, there we go. All right. We got that going. That's much better, isn't it? Okay. All right. Let's get to it. Got all kinds of notifications going on. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you are ready for Memorial Day weekend. I personally am ready for it. I do wish the weather was better though. I don't know how weather is in your neck of the woods, but here in Massachusetts, boy, did it rain yesterday. We have a nor'easter that came through. It's really cold. It was 50 degrees this morning. We put all our patio furniture out thinking we were going to have a barbecue this weekend, and it turns out it's going to be an indoor party. All right, so what am I doing right now? I am going through and looking for our final video of episode 18, which is the episode that recently aired. Let's see. I need this. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging this into our media pool. There's a couple other things I know I'm going to need in our assets for our channel. So I am going to need our outro video. There we go. And I am not going to need I do need an intro. I need our replay intro. And I think that is it. Although, now that I'm thinking about this, if I do this in multiple timelines, I can get both of these individual segment videos done at the same time. So when I dragged this down here, you can now see here's timeline 1. So I am going to rename this timeline just so that I know what it is. So this is going to be episode 18, featured topic, birds in flight. There we go. Okay, and then creating a new timeline, episode 18. This is going to be, we call it the Nature Curiosity Nest Box. Okay, so now I'm going to be able to create all the next two individual segments. We're going to come into this one right here. There it is. Okay. So now I just turned on our audio and now I'm going to pause it because it's annoying to listen to that while we're also checking out this. Because what I need to do is I need to remove the parts of this video that we're not going to need. So you can see this is a bluebird right here. This is actually from a nest box that sits in our yard. And we had an amazing time last summer watching this bluebird family, mama and dad, take care of their babies. I know that the featured topic is a little bit of a ways down in this video. We got to get through this question of the week. The question of the week this week was about this device right here that you see on the screen. So this is called a puck. It's sold by a company called birdweather.com. And what it does is you can see it has a mic here and a mic here. Those two mics, what they actually do is they will recognize sounds coming from different birds and it will ID those birds for you. I got this for Dustin as one of his Father's Day gifts this year. But then when my daughter and I started thinking about it, what we realized is if we waited till mid-June to give it to him, he would miss using it for all the birds that are migrating through our area. We've got like over 1 million birds flying over our heads every night because, yep, that's when they actually migrate most of the time. And he wouldn't get any of that. So we gave it to him a little bit early, and we actually used it in our question of the week segment this week to talk about the birds, some of the birds that are migrating through our area right now, for all the bird watchers out there. So yeah, it was kind of a fun segment to record this week because we had the opportunity to talk about technology, which is kind of more my lane, and birding, which is definitely Dustin's lane. I am not the birder in this situation. I'm actually a terrible birder, if I'm being quite honest. So what we're doing right now is I'm just looking for the point at which we were done with this segment so that I can just cut out this whole front part. And I'll turn up the volume a little bit on this so you can kind of hear. It's going to be a little jumbled, but okay, so here we go. I can tell we're into the featured topic because this picture here is of a great blue heron on our lake. Dustin talks about it in much more detail in this part of the podcast. This was one of the first like artistic photos that he actually took when he started to get into photography. And it's where we started. Oh, so now I'm talking backwards because I'm looking for the start of this segment. And we do put markers in between each segment, so it should be fairly easy for me to find it. There it is. Okay. So I want to get beyond this slide and get to when I actually start talking. Okay, it's right about here. Okay, so we are going to delete all of this. And then the next thing that I need to do is add in, at the beginning, I need to add in our opening, which is this replay that you see here, featuring our featured topic. So that's going to go in the front here. I'm going to pull this all the way here. Whoops, wrong way. Yes, I am a little bit clunky with this thing because, again, I'm learning as I go, but I've come a long way since January. It actually hasn't been that hard to learn all of this, I will say. Okay, so now we've got the beginning of our video all squared away here. I always like to add in a little bit of audio, and YouTube is wonderful because it has a lot of royalty-free audio you can use. That's actually what we were listening to before I shut it off. So where is my audio files? I don't see them here. That's strange. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm not going to use the song that we normally use at the start and end. I'm going to come down here. We're going to add in some nature sounds instead. So let's put that there. We'll cut it here. I want the sound to be loud enough, but not too loud. I don't want it blowing anybody's eardrums out. So if we go ahead and kind of listen to it, let's see what it sounds like. To turn my fader off. Let's try that again. So photographing birds in flight, to me at least, seems like one of those skills that should be impossible. It should be impossible. I don't know how Dustin does it. I am not good at that stuff at all. I tried to take up photography at one point, and like I was like, oh, there's all these math, there's all this math and these numbers, and yikes. So there's in this clip you can see there's an eagle going after a fish on our lake at the end of winter a few years back. We are trying to get to the end of this segment. You're going to see a few clips. So here's another image from our backyard last year. This is the same bluebird that I showed you at the start of the stream. There's the mama bluebird. And these are tree swallows. These are one of my favorite birds to watch on the lake. They're so fun. They're like little acrobats. You see them like swooping around everywhere. It's so cool. So I really love that. Okay. So now we're getting to the end of the segment from this week's podcast. This is where I need to like cut it out. All right, so right about there. All right, so we're going to cut this here. We're going to get rid of all of this. And I'm going to add our outro, which is just very simply, usually thinking, wait. What happened? That was weird. Okay. Get rid of that. I want to add in bird sounds at the end too. Nice, pleasant little way to end the stream. And I always try to listen to the end to hear what you guys are going to hear as we transition from one segment to another.
Challenge for you. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what you're struggling with so we can talk more about it in a future episode.
I think that's long enough for the outro. Okay. Great. Okay, so this is pretty much done at this point. This was our featured topic of the week from our full-length podcast. Now I need to get this into the rendering queue. Before I do that, I am going to make sure that the audio is normalized for YouTube. Is that something? My big pet peeve when you're on social media and you're scrolling through a variety of videos is when you have to keep adjusting your audio. So I try to keep it consistent. I am still learning, but it is what it is. All right. So I'm going to create a compound clip out of all of this. That is done. Now we are going to deliver this to the rendering queue. Birds in flight. Okay. So I need an MP4. All of this looks correct. Add it to the queue. And this is going to leave that screen because you don't need to see my file structure. Let's see. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, that is all set. So now we are going to go back to our media pool and we are going to click over to our next video and we're going to go through the whole process all over again. So we got this whole thing right here. We need to go pretty far towards the end. This was my favorite segment that we did this week. It was an update on Dustin's Nestbox program. And we have babies on the lake because our wood duck hen in one of our nest box, her little ducklings fledged this past weekend. I think there were 12 of them. They're so cute. I'll show you guys a quick shot of them
Okay.
once we
Thank
start
you.
editing. But let me get rid of all of this here because we don't need it. Ripple delete. That'll bring that all the way to the beginning, which will make it a little easier. So let me show you guys.
What we're going to show you is a one off the
I want to get to where you see the babies. There's so many of them. They're so cute. So there she is. She leaves the nest at one point, and you get to see them all. Here they are.
I didn't want to miss jump day. And so in the morning, she came out and was looking to see if the coast was clear, but for whatever reason, she decided this wasn't the time, not quite.
Look at them looking up at the camera.
This time, it appears, and the babies have all started jumping. There was like a minute or two where the camera was not on. So where there's 12 babies here, the next shot only shows about half of them, and they're still working their way out of the nest.
And she's calling for them as she's leaving the box. So, okay, what's going on is you saw basically what Dustin explains in this part, and I highly recommend watching the podcast or this video once it goes up as an individual segment, is with wood ducks. The day after the babies hatch, they need to get out of their cavity nest because they're hungry and they need to eat. And mom does not feed them. So basically what happens is when she thinks they're ready and the coast is clear, she leaves the nest. And then the next thing is she'll start calling to them, and they climb up this mesh net that Dustin put up to make it easier for them to get out of the box. And they literally just jump out. They just jump out of the cavity. Like sometimes these cavity nests are like way high up, but they're so light and so little that like they just jump out of the nest and they go find their mama, and then they go off on their way. And so you can see in this shot, most of the babies made it out of the nest at this point. It comes down to 2. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end, but I will say it's a happy story. So yes, this is definitely something that I recommend watching now. Because this is the last video, I think I don't have to edit that much. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave this one as is, but I do need to add a little replay video at the beginning so people will know that that's what they're seeing, that they're not seeing the full length podcast. Okay, I need this one. I'm gonna drag that in here. It's so funny. If you would have asked me, like even 10 years ago, if I was going to end up sitting on a live stream right now, working on video editing for a podcast, I would have said no. So it's funny, but I will say this has been a really cool way for Dustin and I to kind of spend time together on a hobby of his. But doing it in a way that kind of incorporates some of my interests. So I have spent most of my career as a science communicator, working in copywriting and all kinds of fun stuff like that within biotech and life sciences. And so what I'm doing right now, this kind of stuff, is really what fires me up. Figuring out how to create a message and share the special things about science and nature with people. And so I'm now learning video production as a middle-aged Gen Xer in order to do this, and it's been a lot of fun. Okay, so we have our replay at the beginning. Let's see how it works. Okay, everyone. So in previous episodes, we introduced So this is all set at this point. Really, the only thing I need to do, which probably is an unnecessary step because I've already normalized the audio levels when I created the podcast episode. But I'm going to do it again just to make sure. So, okay, all of the audio is normalized. I'm going to create a compound clip. This is ready to be delivered over here. Okay, so there we go. So now I am going to tell the computer to render these files, and they are rendering them. So what is happening now is the final file is going to a folder. So now what I need to start thinking about is we have not yet created any highlights, any shorts from any of this content for the week. I was not entirely convinced that YouTube Shorts was the right approach to take for long form content like what we put out. What I can tell you though is we have gotten a good amount of subscribers that have found us through YouTube Shorts and then started watching our long form videos. And when I backed off of that, which is something I had done recently as an experiment, we definitely saw engagement with the birding and nature community on YouTube drop off. People started to have a hard time finding us for sure. So we are just cycling back into that, and it's probably going to take the algorithm a couple of weeks to kind of adjust to the new format, but we will get there. To be entirely honest with you, I don't necessarily, we're doing this really to kind of bond with the birding and the nature community on YouTube and to kind of contribute to wildlife conservation in the ways that we are able to do it. That's exactly why we started the channel. So whether we have 120 subscribers like we have now, or hopefully more down the road, really the best part of it has just been kind of engaging with people. We've met really awesome people. In fact, there's one viewer, I think, who is located in Australia, who's given us some really, really great feedback and constructive criticism on the channel. And we're really trying to incorporate that kind of stuff because we're just learning as we're going. So it's actually been really fun. Okay. And I will say, if people actually like the behind the scenes live streams, I'm happy to let people hang out and us have conversations. And maybe at some point, Dustin will join us at any point. I'm going to take a sip of something to drink, though, because I need to. Okay, so all of that is done. Now, some people would say for a podcast, I could have this open in DaVinci and have all kinds of timelines with all of our different varieties of videos that we do. I don't tend to do that. What you're going to notice is I'm going to close this project out and I'm going to open a new project for the next thing that I'm working on. And the next thing that I'm working on is going to be the short form videos that we have to do next. So basically what those are highlights. And that is all we post for short form content. The highlight videos are always linked to a long form video. We do not put out exclusive short form videos because really the long form videos are our focus when it comes to our format on YouTube. So, okay, we are going to create a new project. And this one is going to be episode 18 shorts. And these are going to be all our highlights. So the purpose of our shorts is really to help us promote the channel, if I'm being quite honest, and help people find our content. So I have to come up here. This is vertical format, so I need to change that setting. 30 frames per second should do it. So now the next thing that I need to do is I need to start pulling in those segment videos and the podcast as well, because I haven't created one for the podcast yet, even though it launched. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I'm going to make this easier on myself. Let's pull these in. I'm going to create some bins. Here is the question of the week, which was about all the birds migrating to our area. Here's our featured topic. And here's nest box. So we are going to create highlights for all of these. There's a couple other things that I want to do, because this is going to get a little confusing in that I create them for YouTube Shorts and I create them for Instagram. We're only going to worry about YouTube Shorts right now. And so I need a bin. A bin is just basically like a folder, and this is going to be YouTube outros. So I have specific outros that I use that are just for YouTube because they point you to the related link at the bottom. And then I thought I had some. I think this is the Instagram one.
Curious to hear more? The full episode is waiting, and the link is in our bio.
Yep. All right. So this is the Instagram one. So I'm going to put this in a separate bin just to keep myself organized here, because it is really easy to lose track of what you're doing. I will tell you that much. Okay. So, this is going to be the first one we're going to work on. And I'm going to rename this to podcast short. All right. Here we go. So, what I need to do here is we have an open that we use all the time that kind of highlights what's going on. The first thing I want to do is cut out everything other than that.
And you ever wondered how whatever is like, or how do you spot the natural rhythms of my favorite shots, spell chat between?
Who's ready for babies? I'm ready for baby. Well, I was at one point in my life. I don't know about being ready for babies now. Okay. So we need this to end right about here. It needs to end before we get to that screen. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So this shot you're seeing of us was last year in Concord, Massachusetts. We were at the location of the North Bridge, which is where the shot heard round the world happened when the Revolutionary War started. And last summer, they announced that they had found some musket balls from that actual battle. And we went to see them and do a little bit of birding while we were there. Or at least Dustin did. Okay, so now we need to see, does the shots that I used in the long form cold open, does it work in this vertical format or not? That's the next thing I need to check out. Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we do not. But we're going to watch this and we will see. Another thing I want to do is make sure the audio It's where it should be. This is going to be really loud. I think I'm going to normalize it before we even get going. There we go. So we don't blow out our ears or yours. Okay, let's see how this looks and sounds. This week on Hike and Hearth Birding, we're exploring the excitement of spring migration right here in our own backyard and sharing how one little device is helping us tune into it all.
And if you've ever wondered how to photograph birds in flight, or how to even spot them in action, we're breaking down some of my favorite shots and tricks behind capturing those fleeting moments.
Plus, we've got an exciting update on our wood duck nest box. Who's ready for babies? Stay tuned for the full story. Okay, so I think for the most part we can use this, but I probably need to do some overlays to kind of help out with some of the areas where the shots don't really line up well. And that primarily looks to be with Dustin's photography. So this shot, for example. Okay, let me look at our photography and see what we have. I love this shot of this gull with this conch shell. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I want to see if I drop it in a different format, if that'll work. So let's try this. What happens if I do that? Can I zoom out? I can. I don't know if that's, I don't think that's going to work. In order for me to zoom out enough for you to see more of the bird, see what it does? It makes it too small for the screen because it's a landscape format for that image. It's not in a portrait mode. So what do I want to do here? What if I did more of a close-up of the bird? Because he has a couple different photos here. Would this work? I mean, it's just a short. I'm not really going to agonize over this that much. Wait, but I need to see, where does this start? Kind of going frame by frame now. So right here.
And if you've ever wondered how to photograph birds...
Have you ever wondered how to photograph birds in flight? I have not. Maybe you have. I look at something like that and I'm like, this is beyond my talent. Okay, so this needs to go a little farther. Let's try it now.
Birds in flight.
A little farther.
Birds in flight.
A little farther. I didn't realize how long that gull was on the screen.
Birds in flight.
Still a little more. And I'm sure there's a much more exacting way to do this, but okay. So this is going to be easy because he took this image as a portrait style shot. So here we go. See, doesn't that look much better than this? Well, where is it? That is okay. I think that looks better, especially if you were viewing this on like YouTube Shorts.
Or how to even spot them in action. We're breaking down.
I'm not really sure where it cuts to my favorite image of his of all time.
Some of my favorite shots.
This. Now, this you can't really see well here. I mean, the easiest way for me to show it to you guys is to show you our desktop for a second. I love this image. It's one of my favorites. Look at the detail on the wings. And just how beautiful, look at, you can see how the difference in the feathers here in comparison to here. I love that. But it doesn't work very well in this shot right here, does it? Now, I'm being lazy if I admit to you that, because what I could do is I could really go into Affinity Photo, which is what we use for our photo resizing, and I could resize this image um, of this great blue heron so that it's much easier to fit it into this format. But I don't feel like doing that work today. Oh, that's not bad, right? That works. There we go. I mean, you don't see the splash, which is behind him. You can see, I don't think you can see it on my desktop. Maybe you can. Yeah, if you look down here, you can see like from where he left the water. You're not going to be able to see that in this image, but that's okay. This is just a really quick
favorite shots and tricks behind capturing those fleeting moments.
Okay, I think it's
Plus, we've got
whoops. Stop. All right about here. Let's cut it. All right. So, taking a break for a second. I'm really hoping the weather clears up this weekend because we have a long weekend here. And what I really, really wanted to do is now that we've moved to a bi-weekly format for the podcast, where we're doing every other Thursday, we want to do more candid videos that are just kind of taking you guys out and showing you different stuff or whatnot, maybe even behind the scenes stuff like this. What I really, really wanted to do this weekend, anyways, was there's a meadow on the other side of the lake from us, and that is where Dustin manages the nest box program for tree swallows and bluebirds. And right now there's babies, and I really wanted to get up there and shoot a whole bunch of footage showing you all the nest boxes and all of that. But I don't know if the weather's going to cooperate. Going up there and doing that in the rain is not something we want to do. We especially do not want to bother those birds and their babies when it's cold and rainy like it has been, because we want mama in the nest keeping those babies warm, right? So we're going to have to see how that works out.
plus.
Okay, so here is where we move. Okay, so this needs to go a little further.
Plus.
Okay, there we go. So speaking of nest boxes, here's a picture. This is from, whoops, sorry about that, guys. So many different windows open. This is from the wood duck nest boxes that we have placed around the lake where we live. So this is not the ducklings that just fledged the nest last weekend. This is from a previous year. But okay, let me find this shot because I believe this shot should also help us out. If I can get myself to the right folder. And I see we have more viewers joining. So welcome to this live stream. This is super casual. You guys are just hanging out with me while I create some content based off our latest podcast. If you have any questions on anything, let me know. Right now, I'm just trying to look for the right image. I think I'm going to have to go into the photography folder. And this photography folder has a lot in it. I'm looking for the vertical image of these babies, and I know we have them somewhere. We have so much photography that Dustin has done over time. It's kind of crazy. And of course, this is what I run into every time I edit, is trying to remember where I put stuff the last time. I don't know if you guys have those kinds of adventures with your folder either, but I sure do. Let's see. I'm surprised it's not here because I'm looking in the files from when I actually did these projects. And all I'm seeing are bluebirds. And our grumpy wood duck. If you want to see him, here he is. Isn't he? Doesn't he look grumpy? Aren't they beautiful? They're such beautiful birds. So this is a male wood duck, and that's what they look like. Here's another side view of one with a goose photobombing, of course. But they are absolutely beautiful birds. This is the male. And we have 12 babies on the lake right now from one of the nest boxes. Here is a good image that Dustin has done that I can show you really quick while we're still looking around. This is from our lake. This is the female and the male together. I think he has like 8 of these nest boxes up on the lake. Some of them he has not been able to get to check in on them because they're in locations that require him to get into his kayak to get to them. And he's having some issues with his back this season, which has made it a little bit difficult. Okay, so I'm in the right folder to be able to find. So I like this picture with the 2, but there's also pictures that we have with just one baby. Here's the one where it's just one baby. Look at him. Isn't he sweet? You can still see that's his egg tooth, that little thing at the tip. That's how he broke out of the shell the day before. But I do like it where there's multiples. So let me see if we have that in a workable format. I'd probably have to go to a wider shot like that, which is okay. But I think that works. 5650. Once I get this sorted out, I could probably show you guys a video of Jump Day.
Plus,
Just bear with me a second while I get this done first.
plus, we've got an exciting update on our wood duck nest box.
Who's ready for babies? That's what I'm going to say next on this video. And the image that you see here, I'm not going to be able to zoom out enough to use that in this format. So I think what I'm going to do is use that picture of that cutie patootie that I liked of that just one duck, if it'll fit. Oh, I wonder, can I do this instead? Look at him. So this is what they look like when they're jumping out of the nest. Oh my goodness. It's so cute, isn't it? All right. So let's cut this here and see if that's good enough.
Who's ready for babies? Stay tuned for the full story.
Okay, good. That's good. All right. So I've got a couple of you online watching. Let me see if I can find a video that will show you Jump Day. So what I'll say before I play this is I usually stabilize the image, and this is the unstabilized rough cut version, but I'll let you guys see what Jump Day because that's what it's called. The day that the wood duck babies fledged from the nest, it's called jump day. So here we go. It's a little bouncy at the start. Just hang in there. And you can hear Mama in the background. That's her calling for the babies. So yeah, usually it's stabilized, but we didn't get that one stabilized. But okay, so for this, I am going to rename this file. Why is it? Oh, I see. Okay, because I'm not. Where am I right now? I'm here. Here we go. Did I already name this file? I think I already did. I have to name everything because there's just so much. Yes, I did do that. Okay. Okay, so the next thing I need is an outro. Let's see, which one do I want to use? Let's use this one. Turn down the volume so I don't blow everybody's ears out. This is the one challenge with editing while I'm talking to you guys on a live stream is I want to try to control the volume of all this stuff a little bit for you. But
Love this clip? There's so much more in the full episode. Just tap the link below to watch.
that works, right? Okay, so we've got our first short ready to go. So what do I need to do next? Same thing I do every time. Select everything. Let's normalize our audio levels. That's done. Compound clip. All right, everything is nice and smoothly put together now. I'm going to watch it from the start to make sure. So let's take a peek at what this looks like now.
This week on Hike Hearth Birding, we're exploring the excitement of spring migration right here in our own backyard and sharing how one little device is helping us tune into it all.
And if you've ever wondered how to photograph birds in flight, or how to even spot them in action, we're breaking down some of my favorite shots and tricks behind capturing those fleeting moments.
Plus, we've got an exciting update on our wood duck nest box. Who's ready for babies? Stay tuned for the full story. Love this clip? There's so much more in the full episode. Just tap the link below to watch.
Awesome. So that's it. So we've got this ready to go. We're going to bring it over to render. Well, we're going to render everything at once, but episode 18 podcast short. There. That is all good to go. Add it to the render queue. I have to pick a folder, so bear with me a second. And then we'll move on to the shorts and highlights for all the individual segments. So as I said earlier, what we basically do is we have our full-length podcast, which is 3 different topics that we cover every other week on Thursdays. And then we take each of those segments and break them into separate videos. And the reason we do that is because we actually had that suggested by a couple of different subscribers very, very early on in January. When we first started, our first couple of subscribers were really awesome. And any questions we asked on what do you guys think of the way we're structuring things, they always offered up some advice. So yeah, okay. So those segment videos, those individual segment videos are, so if you don't have enough time to watch the full podcast, you can catch different topics, or maybe you're not interested in all the topics we cover from podcast episode to episode. There might just be one thing that you want to see. This way you can just watch that video. Okay, we've got the highlight of the full length podcast done. Now we need to move to working on the individual ones. So I am going to first create a bin that I'm just going to call assets, so we can move some of these images out of here so that I don't start getting confused, because that happens for sure. Okay, let's see. We are now going to do the next one. And I'll admit to you, I'm a little bit disorganized right now because I'm talking to you guys at the same time that I'm doing this, but that's okay. I'm just going to create a new timeline to kind of figure this out. So this is going to be the featured topic short. I'm just going to call it that. So our featured topic, again, was all about how to photograph birds in flight. So now I need to figure out what part of this featured topic would make the best highlight short. And this is going to be hard because I don't know how I'm going to get this into a vertical format. So let's review some of them and see what Dustin had to say. Know how to use the camera on the auto settings. So today what we thought we would talk through is 5 of Dustin. And I know that the video that you're seeing on the screen isn't lining up. It's because I'm going to convert a long form video into a short highlight, and they're 2 different formats. So it's some of the editing you saw me do with the other promo. Yeah. Okay, so I thought we could start by understanding the story behind this photo that we've pulled. You know, the one I really, really want to do is the one that's my favorite picture that Dustin's taken. And we used that picture in the podcast promo. And it looked really good on screen. Oh, and here comes Dustin. Up the stairs, I can hear him. Say hi to the camera. So I'm trying to decide, Dustin, let's see what you think. For the highlight of the individual segment video that I'm going to create based on the feature topic, I thought you were putting bunny ears behind my head or something. Which image do you think would be better as a highlight? This one of the eagle? Or don't worry about how it would format on screen, because I know both of these will look fine once I get them on screen. Or the great blue heron, this one. Which one do you want to feature in the highlight clip? It's going to be a short that's going to promote this one? Yeah. Okay, then that's what we'll do. All right, now we need to find where I introduce this shot.
Shoot it with multiple different combinations of stuff because it gets you some more artistic outputs when you do that too.
And now for the best image of. All right, there it is, right there. Okay. So let's open this up. I actually use the audio down here an awful lot to figure out where to cut clips. For the best, I think it's right here, right where this is. And now for that's exactly where it is. Okay, so I'm going to cut here. Now, we need to keep this under a minute in length to make it a little bit more fun. Why is it? There we go. That's much better. To make it a little bit more fun for you guys to be able to look at, I'm going to drop the actual image that we're going to use in here. We already know it's going to work because we were already using it in that other promo I was working on. So let's zoom out and then we'll be able to see it. Oh, I see why it worked the last time. I don't really want you to be able to see this here. I'll worry about that later, though. I'll figure that out in a second. Let's get this. I don't know how long he talked, and I don't know which part of this photo when he was going over it was the most compelling. So we're going to listen to pretty much all of it and see what he said and try to figure out what the best part is. I like the way I introduced this at the start when I was like, and now for the best photo or whatever I said. Wow, we talked for a while about that picture. So for YouTube Shorts, I need to keep it to like no more than 60 seconds. Okay, so let me get rid of this junk. You guys can kind of settle in a little bit and listen to what he's going to say. Well, I listen and try to figure out where I want to capture things. Oh, I know why I was seeing that. Okay, let's just listen. And now for the best image of them all, I will say out of all the photography Dustin's done, this is my absolute favorite shot of his that he's ever taken. I will say out of all the photography Dustin's done, this is my absolute favorite shot of his that he's ever taken. It's just absolutely beautiful. It looks almost like an oil painting. We've always had great blue herons on our lake. I have like a very soft spot in my heart for them because we see them sometimes hanging out on our dock and stuff. Do you remember how you felt like when you reviewed this image and realized what you had? Okay, I think I want to use this beginning, but I want to make myself shut up a little bit because I talked an awful lot. Okay, so I kind of went on and on and on, as I tend to do sometimes when we're recording. It happens. Okay, so let's get rid of this. I will say out of all the photography Dustin's done, this is my absolute favorite shot of his that he's ever taken. It's just. And then I want to go to that part where I asked him, like, how did you feel when you took this image? I have like a very soft. Yeah, see, I do have a very soft spot for great blue herons. And I will say we have them on our lake, and I just love them. Stuff. Do you remember? I think it's right here. Ripple delete. All right, so let's listen to this together. I will say, out of all the photography Dustin's done, this is my absolute favorite shot of his that he's ever taken. Do you remember how you felt like when you reviewed this image and realized what you had captured here?
I do remember. The story behind this one is interesting. It looks like it's nighttime or something, but I promise you it was literally in the minutes right after technical sunrise, but probably about 15 minutes after sunrise when the sun here comes up above the trees and hits the lake for the first time. So I had just paddled off of our dock not more than 100 yards or so, leaving around sunrise, and came upon this great blue heron who was standing, probably having spent the whole night on the mud flat on the right-hand side of our lake. And I know that they often will stay there until just a few minutes after sunrise. When the sun hits them and they start to warm up, they'll either move to a new location because they want to rest somewhere else in the shade, or...
Okay, so I think the next thing that I need to do, I like how he starts out talking about this, but for a short, I think one of the things that I want to avoid is him going on too long about like where he saw the bird. And I figured out how to get rid of this here as well. I'm taking the easy way out, and I'm just zooming in on the image that the original image, and it just gets rid of that. So that's perfect. Okay, so
right after technical sunrise, but probably about 15 minutes after sunrise when the sun here comes up above the trees and hits the lake for the first time. So I had just paddled off of...
Okay, so we're going to get rid of starting here.
Our dock not more than 100 yards or so, leaving around sunrise, and came upon this great blue heron who was standing, probably having spent the whole night on the mud flat on the right-hand side of our lake. And I know that they often will stay there until just a few minutes after sunrise. When the sun hits them and they start to warm up, they'll either move to a new location because they want to rest somewhere else in the shade, or it's time to get out hunting. So I had actually stopped in the kayak and spent 5 or 10 minutes kind of at a distance watching this bird and playing with different camera settings.
That's an important part, because one of the things that Dustin talks a lot about in this podcast episode is prepping your site and prepping your camera. So we need to make sure we keep that.
So I had actually stopped in the kayak and spent 5 or 10 minutes.
We're going to go to here. And let's see how that flows together.
The trees and hits the lake for the first time. So I had actually stopped in the kayak and spent 5 or 10 minutes kind of at a distance watching this bird and playing with different camera settings. So I was partly using the background trees, but I knew that one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever been given was to create artistic photography. Don't worry about exposing for the entire scene. Focus on exposing for your subject. So I was really keen on picking up the white, but not overexposing the white on the heron's face and getting the bird well exposed. What I didn't expect was for it to take off when it did, but I was prepared and I had the right settings dialed in. And so as I clicked off a few of these pictures, I thought I probably had a little more of the green and water background and kind of the reflection, but it had moved from the lighting that was in across into...
Yeah, I can't put all of this. Okay. Let's just
a little bit more
see how far
of
he
a different
goes
lighting
with this
situation. And so the exposure that I had pre-dialed in wasn't exactly right, but it really paid off because I was perfectly exposed for my subject. And it made for a really dramatic image because the background was underexposed, but not totally. So if you look closely, of course, you can see the ripples behind the bird, but...
Okay, so now we've gone too far, I think.
And it made for a really dramatic image because the background was underexposed, but and it made for a really dramatic image because the background was underexposed, but not totally. So if you
But not totally is where I want to stop.
but not totally. So if you look
Right there. Okay. So if we get rid of that, we are over by a lot. So now what I need to do is start thinking about where I'm going to cut. And there's definitely a little bit of fluff throughout here that I can cut from. I also am starting to think that I'm going to cut my part up at the start and get rid of all this and just have it be Dustin talking.
Do you remember how you felt like when you reviewed this image and realized what you had captured here?
I do remember. The story behind this one is interesting.
Let's get rid of this and start here.
The story behind this one is interesting. It looks like it's nighttime or something, but I promise you it was literally in the minutes right after technical sunrise, but probably about 15 minutes after sunrise when the sun here comes up above the trees and hits the lake for the first time. So I had actually stopped in the kayak and spent 5 or 10 minutes kind of at a distance watching this bird and playing with different camera settings. So I was partly using the background trees, but I knew that one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever been given was to create artistic photography. Don't worry about exposing for the entire scene. Focus on exposing for your subject. So I was really keen on picking up the white, but not overexposing the white on the heron's face and getting the bird well exposed. What I didn't expect was for it to take off when it did, but I was prepared and I had the right settings dialed in. And
we're going to stop right there. Okay, so where are we? 54 seconds. So now let's listen through the whole thing now that I've cut out a whole bunch of it, because the whole bunch of it is what the long form podcast or individual segment videos are for. That's not what this is that we're working on right now. We are working on YouTube Shorts.
The story behind this one is interesting. It looks like it's nighttime or something, but I promise you it was literally in the minutes right after technical sunrise, but probably about 15 minutes after sunrise when the sun here comes up above the trees and hits the lake for the first time. So I had actually stopped in the kayak and spent 5 or 10 minutes kind of at a distance watching this bird and playing with different camera settings. One of the best pieces of advice I'd ever been given was to create artistic photography. Don't worry about exposing for the entire scene. Focus on exposing for your subject. So I was really keen on picking up the white, but not overexposing the white on the heron's face and getting the bird well exposed. What I didn't expect was for it to take off when it did, but I was prepared and I had the right settings dialed in.
There we go. Done. Okay, so the next thing that I need is the ending, right? That's going to point our viewers towards where to find the full-length video that talks about birds in flight photography and gives some advice. So that is easy because our little short at the end of our videos on YouTube points you in the direction of the related link.
Want to see more? Tap the link below to watch the full episode.
There we go. Okay, so all of that is done. Now, what I need to do is clean this stuff up a bit. So we're going to, again, select all and normalize our audio. Where is it? There it is. It looks like the sun is trying to peek through outside. We have some fun stuff that we are working on right now. Dustin's got a big construction project going on in our garage. It's taking up one whole bay of the garage. All right, here we go. And this is going to be the featured topic short. Add to the render queue. So now we've got 2 of them done, which is good. I needed these ones more than anything else because the podcast dropped on Thursday and we haven't put out a short yet. And the featured topic that discusses our birds in flight photography tips, that drops on Sunday. So I needed to get that out. Okay, so now we're going to come here and back here. And now I need to create a timeline for our nest box. So this is going to be our nest box short. And again, I am going to pull in, where is it? Here it is, here. Now I've been thinking about this, honestly, while we've been working on the other stuff going on. What do we really want to show here? And this one is a tricky one because these videos of the nest box are very clearly shot in the wrong format. Like if I play
seconds at a
this for
time
you
and
guys,
have a rest period in between. So think of this as sort of like a 24-hour time lapse of video of what happened from hatch through jump. So first is I noticed that the hen, after all those alerts, was actually moving eggs or wing to the babies to encourage them to hatch. We can see there at the top there's a broken egg, and now on the lower left, one is hatched. The empty egg is on the lower left.
This baby falls asleep so fast. It's hilarious.
Cleaning it off, I don't know exactly.
Watch his little head. He's going to put his head down, and that's it. He's out.
He went to sleep so fast. She's like, finally, he's down for a nap.
So that was at like 8 or 9 a.m., which is earlier than I've noticed them hatching before. And then later in the day, we finally got a view of all of the babies that had hatched when Mom went out for her normal break in the afternoon.
Look at how adorable they are. And
She took a much shorter break than usual and came back to the nest after about 45 minutes only.
she was probably worried about her babies.
Yep. And so you can start to see like how much energy these little ducklings have and all the work the mom has. And there she is eating one of the eggshells again too. And one at the bottom flapping its wings, getting ready. So
It amazes me how she just like walks all over them and it doesn't hurt them at all.
I didn't want to miss jump day. And so in the morning, she came out and was looking to see if the coast was clear, but for whatever reason, she decided
They're so sweet. And you can already see markings on them.
Yeah, if you look closely, you can even see their egg tooth. That's the little white dot at the tip of their beak that they use to break through the egg. Now, a little while later, about 20 minutes later, she went to see if the coast was clear again. And this time, she actually did leave the nest. So from here, we're going to see that she disappears and the babies have all started jumping. There was like
I think this is where we're going to break this shot, guys, is showing like those moments just before she finally leaves the nest for the last time. With a shot of some of the babies starting to leave, and just end it right there. I think that's the best spot. Okay, I want to move this down here a little bit. I want to be able to see a little bit better.
Did leave the nest. So from here, we're going to see that
Somewhere around here.
the coast was clear again. And this time, she actually
And this time is what I want to get.
to see if the coast was clear again, and this time she actually did leave.
It's somewhere around here.
And this time she actually did leave the nest. So from here we're going to see that she disappears and the babies have all started jumping. There was like a minute or two where the camera was not on. So where there's have all started jumping. There was like jumping. There was like a minute or two where the camera was not
I want to
on.
take out this part where he's talking about the delay with the camera having to reset, because we don't need that in a short.
So where there's 12 babies here, the next shot only shows about half of them, and they're still working their way out of the nest.
And she's calling for them as she's leaving the box. Right here. So now half of them are outside with her, and you can see Dustin put this grating up, which makes it easier for them to climb out. And we're going to stop it, I think, right there. And just leave it like that. That's 17 seconds. It's a really short one. But honestly, I think going to the related video, which is long form format, so it's horizontal. It's a horizontal shot, a landscape shot. You get to see more on that, and quite frankly, it's not a long video at all. I think that's going to be the better approach for people to actually be able to see that stuff. Okay, I need an outro. Let's do this one because I think there's a baby. I'm out. Enjoyed this clip? Well, there's a whole episode waiting for you in the link below. Yep. Okay, cool. So, all right, I need to adjust the audio because it doesn't match up with the outro. Oh, I only did it for that one. That's not helpful. Okay, let's normalize that audio so it's consistent volume. And then we're going to create a compound clip. So it's all together as one clip. There's no cuts or anything. It's nice and clean. And next we're going to come here. Nest box short. Okay, that is done. Okay. So we have all of these. The only thing I haven't captured yet is the short form for the question of the week, which was about the spring migration of birds through our area. At the time that we shot this, what is going on? YouTube is not receiving enough video. What? Give me a second, guys. I'm getting a YouTube error message. I got to make an adjustment in OBS, which is my streaming stuff, but I want to make sure we got good quality. So stand by, please. Oh, now it says that my stream status is excellent. That's weird. So YouTube is giving me a weird message about my audio bitrate that I know is incorrect because of everything else that's getting tracked. So bear with me. Testing. Yeah. All right. So we're back to excellent. I'm getting a weird message still, but everything looks fine. So I'm just going to keep going. There we go. All right. Thank you for bearing with me, those of you that are viewing. C'est la vie, right? Okay, so where are we again? Because I just got completely distracted. All right, so we have 3 of the 4 that we need. We need 1 more, and then we're done with this whole thing, and we can move on to other stuff. So this is going to be episode 18, question of the week. Short. And I'm going to worry about Instagram some other time because, or maybe we'll do it later. I should do it now, but I really don't feel like going through all these videos just to change out the outro, but we will see. Okay, so we've got this. I need this right here. So what this part of our podcast was about was spring migration, the birds that we're seeing coming through our area. And most especially this fun new device we were using to kind of track what's coming into our yard. So what does this say? It's called a puck, PUC, and it's a new AI-powered bioacoustic device from going to maybe let's see, maybe we'll start with this. Maybe we'll start here. It's called a puck, PUC, and it's a new AI-powered bioacoustic device from Birdweather, who is partnered with Cornell's University Center of Ornithologists or
Lab of Ornithology.
There we go.
I'm really smooth. I'm really smooth, aren't I? Cornell's whatever bird people at Cornell. But yeah, so that device is what we kind of have used to kind of track what's going on in our area. Who is partnered with I'm going to take out that part.
Yes, way we are. Yeah, absolutely. Spring migration is 100% underway. We are in the thick of it right now.
So, Dustin, why don't you explain to the viewers what exactly is the Birdweather puck and how does it work?
I don't want to do that. I want to talk about what birds we picked up on this device. That's the fun stuff.
Okay. Not that this wasn't an important part of this segment of the podcast, but
That's very, very cool, which is why I bought it for you because I thought it was cool. And I, for the did not.
oh yeah,
It
and I'll make
didn't
that disclaimer
quite
on this live too. We're not sponsored by Bird Weather. Like they didn't send us a device. I happened to see this and was kind of like, "Oh, this will be a cool Father's Day gift," and I bought it with our own money. So yeah.
All right. So moving this forward, what I'm
Yeah, we are full on sending it for migration time. Birdcast, one of the FAQs on Birdcast that people ask is, when is peak migration for my area?
I don't know if this is going to be a clunky transition, but we're going to try to start
And their
there.
answer for pretty much all of Massachusetts is that it's May 10th to 22nd. So we are right in the center of peak migration time.
Okay, so I just pulled up Birdcast since you mentioned it.
Birdcast is not going to play nicely with short form. So I think I'm going to have to cut out his mention of Birdcast.
And their answer for pretty much on Birdcast that people ask is, when is peak migration for my area? And their answer for pretty much all of Massachusetts is that it's May 10th to 22nd. So we are.
I don't know if I want to mention that because it's only Massachusetts he was talking about. And if you don't know what Birdcast is, so it's a website that you can go to, you can put in your state and it'll tell you like what's going on for migration in your area. Like you can see just looking here, even though it's poorly positioned on this short video, we had 1.4 million birds flying over our heads here in Massachusetts last weekend. It's amazing, right?
Local area.
I think we're going to ditch all this Birdcast stuff because this is all us showing screen sharing. We are showing a website, and there's just no way to make that fit in a short form video format. But I think what we could do is focus on the fact that it was a puck and then talk about the different birds that it picked up on, because I think that would be fun.
That my station has recorded, and I wanted to talk about the warbling vireo because it is filtered to exactly the species that my station has recorded. And I wanted to talk about the warbling vireo because
I don't love this break here, but we're going to try it. But let's listen to this for a minute. You guys might find this interesting.
although it's a plainish bird, it's a really good
Hang on, I just got another. I don't know what's up with YouTube today. All right, I need to check audio for a second and make sure it's working correctly. So please hold. Okay, so one thing I noticed is you guys are hearing an echo. So let me figure that out to start. Sorry about that. I had all my settings going, but all right. Okay, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out why YouTube is echoing my audio. Um, okay. So I'm going to do an experiment. Just for a second. Bear with me on this one.
Bird to understand the call from, because they call like incessantly. So this bird, even though it's nowhere near as prevalent as house sparrows and tree swallows and mourning doves, it's calling like all day long. All day long. 3,000 times it's been recorded in just the last 7 days. And I'll tell you, the puck was not even on 50% of the time during that. So it's a really good
Okay. So I think that fixed it. Hopefully it did. Oh, I'm all discombobulated now, everybody. Thank you, viewers, for joining, though. I think we're good. Okay. That annoys me. I don't like bad audio. And I thought I had it set up properly because it's a little tricky. So we've got my mic, but we also have the audio for these videos that I'm editing. Basically, if you're just joining, we're editing podcast and segment videos into little short clips so that we can post them. So, okay.
It is filtered to exactly the species that my station has recorded. And I wanted to talk about the warbling vireo because although it's a plainish bird, it's a
I don't think this is a good transition. It's called a puck, PUC, and it's a new AI-powered bioacoustic device from Birdweather.
It is filtered to exactly the species that my station has recorded. And I wanted to talk about the
Okay. So I think we can do something with this if I mess around a little bit with the video itself, like the visuals that you're seeing on your screen right now. So let me back up a little bit. I need to make this bigger. I need to know exactly when it shifts over to that image of the warbling vireo. It's right there. And the reason I need to know that is because here I'm going to move this video. It's hard because this isn't entirely the best format. But I think if I do this and we zoom in a little bit and position it like this, that'll be good enough. All right, so now let's go out and see how that worked. I'm not going to make you listen to the whole thing all over again.
It is filtered to exactly the species that my station has recorded. And I wanted to talk about the warbling vireo because
Okay, for this guy, I want to zoom in a little bit. Position him a little bit that way.
although it's a plainish bird, it's a really good bird to understand the call from because they call like incessantly. So this bird, even though it's nowhere near as prevalent as house sparrows and tree swallows and mourning doves, it's calling like all day long. It's calling like all day long.
I want to get rid of this part.
All day long.
It is.
3,000
doesn't
times
shut
it's been
up.
recorded in just the last 7 days. And I'll tell you, the puck was not even on 50% of the time during that. So it's a really good bird for new birders to be in tune with and be able to sort of know when they've arrived because they're once you know them, you sort of can't stop hearing them.
And we have a recording that we can play for the audience right now, right?
Yeah, we can do that. In fact, we can play it directly from our sightings even.
And we have a recording that we can play for the audience right now, right?
Yeah, we can do that. In fact, we can play it directly from our sightings even.
Okay. It cracks me up, honestly. Like, you're going to hear it in a second. The audio captured from this device in our front yard of this bird. I swear to God, I feel like it doesn't matter if we're trying to record something like this or I'm working from home and about to start giving a big presentation. One of our neighbors, who I love, has a landscaper with the biggest lawnmower you've ever seen in your life. And it's absolutely hysterical because this person's lawn is not that big. The good news is it takes very little time at all for this landscaper to get done with what they're doing. But when he turns that thing on, even with all the windows and doors closed in our house, man, is it loud. And you're going to hear it a little bit in the background for this. It's like Murphy's Law kind of thing. Like, of course, if there's a recording or a mic live, this guy is going to show up with his lawnmower. But I mean, hey, he's doing his job. So, like, I'm not going to complain about it to our neighbors for sure. But it still just cracks me up every single time stuff like that happens. Okay, so we're going to come over here because this is going to be important anyways. So
We can play it directly from our sightings even.
all right, I got to fix this picture now. But you can hear that hum in the background, right? That's the neighbor's lawnmower. Okay, so right there. But we're going to come here and I need to straighten this out. So this right here is not one of Dustin's photographs. And I'm not saying that because it's a little grainy. I'm saying that because here's an interesting conundrum that happens when you're running a channel that's about birding with someone who is a birder for over a decade, but also a wildlife photographer as well as a conservationist. Sometimes we talk about topics on our channel where Dustin doesn't have the best photograph for that topic. So, for example, sometimes when he's talking about bird identification, right, he'll mention the shape of a bird's tail or something about the way the wings look when the bird is flying or whatnot. And I'll go through all his photography and he'll have images of that bird, but he won't have an image where you see the tail or you see the wingspan in the right way. So, what do we do in situations like that? Well, as someone who's worked in science communication for my entire career, I am very respectful of copyright. I do not like to infringe upon copyright. And so the first thing I'm not going to do is just go online and find an image of this bird and just pull it down and use it. Because quite frankly, if the photographer who took that picture hasn't given us permission to use that photography, we cannot do it. But here's something I will tell you. This does not apply if you are not doing the kind of work that I'm doing right now. But if you're a birder, this might be helpful to you. Along with eBird and Audubon and a variety of other sites online where you can get great images of wildlife, especially birds, the U.S. Forest Department is another, and Wildlife Department is another great source of photography. And if you need to use that photography in ways that like we do sometimes, one of the other things I'll tell you is that they do have some of those images as public domain, which means that you're free and clear to use them. Now, even though we do that, I always attribute recognition to the members, the forest rangers and whatnot, who are taking those images in our description. So that's why you'll sometimes see us mentioning certain individuals from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department or the National Forestry Department or whatnot. I think they deserve the credit, but that is where, for example, this image of a warbler came from, because we only had one image of this bird, and I wanted to change things up a little bit.
Even.
But
And I'll play
that
that
is
one more time, and it's called a.
That's the sound of the warbling vireo. Okay, I'm going to. How long is this now? 52 seconds. All right, we got to stay under a minute. I think we can cut some stuff out, but I'm not sure. But let's listen to this whole thing for right now. And I hope you guys aren't hearing an echo as I'm playing video, because I really did try to fix that a minute ago for us. And yet, I have not seen any other messages from YouTube that it's mad with anything I'm doing. So hopefully we'll be okay. Let's see. Stream health right now is excellent. Okay. You guys should be in good shape. All right. I'm going to get this set up so you can see it a little better. I know the editing screen is a little bit busy, but let's do what we can. All right. Here we go. It's called a PUC, P-U-C, and it's a new AI-powered bioacoustic device from Birdweather.
It is filtered to exactly the species that my station has recorded. And I wanted to talk about the warbling vireo because although it's a plainish bird, it's a really good bird to understand the call from, because they call like incessantly. So this bird, even though it's nowhere near as prevalent as house sparrows and tree swallows and mourning doves, it's calling like all day long.
And we have a recording that we can play for the audience right now, right?
Yeah, we can do that. In fact, we can play it directly from our sightings even.
All right. One other thing I'll say is this was the first recording that we heard from the PUC was this one. And I was like, oh, well, you can hear a lawnmower in the background. It doesn't. And Dustin was like, it's not an audio editor. It's not going to edit out all of the things that you hear in the environment. But he then also pointed out something really important, which is if you're a birder and you're outside listening for birds, you're having to tune your ear to the sound of that bird versus everything going on in the environment anyway. So it is kind of a realistic thing to have to deal with. Okay, so we need to add an outro to the end. Let's see, which one am I going to use? Let's use the owl. Click the link below for the full episode and come explore with us. There. Perfect. Okay, that's done. We have finished all of our highlights, which is great. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is normalize our audio. It's funny that I've been talking through this whole stream periodically about this particular step of normalizing audio. And some of you poor people have had to listen to echoing at times. I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I'm glad that it seems to have stopped. So, okay, that's done. We are now going to create a compound clip. I believe this is number 4. And now we're going to come over here. And I'm going to say question of the week. Short. And that's done. Okay. Add it to the render queue. And this is where my computer is going to sigh, because I am going to attempt to render all of these videos while I'm live streaming with you guys. And we're going to see how that works out. I do have a monster of a computer, so hopefully it'll be all right. Her name is Bertha, if you were wondering. Yes, I have named my computer. Okay. So at this point, what have we completed in our little hangout session today? We got a whole bunch of shorts created. We took our podcast episode and we broke those into 3 individual segment videos for our viewers who have requested and asked for more bite-sized chunks of the content for the weeks that they can't watch the full podcast. The next thing that I need to do is I need to start working on thumbnails for all of those segment videos so we can get those scheduled on YouTube. So for now, this project is closed. I know I need to create YouTube shorts. I'm terrible at doing that. I will admit at times I do slack off, not YouTube, Instagram. I totally slack off on Instagram from time to time. However, we don't have to listen to any more video editing for now. So I think what I would like to do is turn some music on to kind of relax a little bit while we're doing some more creative work. Okay. So we got our audio library on YouTube going. This is all content that I can use without making the YouTube gods angry. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. If it is, somebody let me know in the chat and I will turn it down. But now we are in Canva. We are in the land of all of the graphics that I create as we are working on our channel. Things that you can see is like stuff, for example, this showed up on one of our podcast episodes. And this was talking about some of the birds that we see at this time of year. Okay. What I need to do is create thumbnails, though, for our segment videos. And they look like this. Although I'm switching up our format a little bit. I think we're going to go with more of a black background going forward. So let's make a copy of this. And there's our mama wood duck. Gonna detach that image. Okay, I thought I had cleaned this up last time, but it looks like I had not. So bear with me a little bit here. It's nice to have people hanging out with me while I'm doing all this creative work. It's kind of fun. So thank you for joining me. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Because the real star of the show is not me. It is Dustin, birder extraordinaire. I actually like to refer to him as the bird stud, as his wife of a million years. Okay, so this is not going to be our title. Which one do I want to start with? So let's start with the nest box video that I'm going to be putting up next week. So the nest box video, that update is all about all those babies and their miraculous jump out of the nest. So, okay, there's a bunch of images I want to grab here, and Canva has some really cool tools that are going to help us out. So let's see, where do I want to start? There we go. There's a little delay, I guess. I like this shot. of the babies. No, that's not the one. Just kidding. There's one here where they're like... That one's okay. Okay, so now let me show you some of the cool tools. Magic grab. Let's do magic grab first. So what I want is, yes. I think I want that. We will see how that works. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I don't know what my caption's gonna be yet. So we can get rid of at least one of those. I'm lazy. I don't like do it from scratch every time. Okay, so we've got the babies. Now, I want some of the shots of them jumping out of the nest because it's always hilarious. Talk about a leap of faith. And they have no fear when they're doing this, or at least they don't look like they do. Where's a good? Oh, here's a good one. Look at this guy. He's something, isn't he? Okay. I kind of want like 3 images for this. So again, I need our magic grab, and we're grabbing this little guy right here in all of his magnificence. Yes, that's the one I want. His little feet. His little wings is so cute. It's ridiculous. Okay. Okay, so that's done. The next thing I need is there's some other good ones. What are some other good ones? There's one where he's like, there's one that's just like practically standing up straight. I gotta find him. I should just open the screen so that you can see them all. Why don't we do that? Let me find a good spot to start. So we'll start here. So we already have, oh, you know what? I might like the whole nest box here with the log instead of just these guys. Let's do that. See what I mean? We could have the log and the nest box. I think that would look cool. Okay, that's 5, 6, 3, 1. Okay, there we are. Thing we want to grab. I hope you guys are planning for a good Memorial Day weekend. Maybe some fun with your families. Perfect. I will tell you, graphic design isn't entirely my jam. I've worked with a lot of graphic designers in my career as a science communicator, but boy, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, that looks good, right? Send this guy over here. And I don't know if I want another one. Maybe we just want that. I don't know. I have to think of a caption. I need to play around with that a little bit. So that's going to be the next thing. And the captioning is hard because I don't want it to be the same as the video title. Okay. I want something that's no more than like 4 or 5 words. It's weird how the audio library isn't just playing. I have to keep going back to it. It wasn't doing that to me either earlier. You know what? I know what I want one of the captions to be. Leap of faith. Because if you guys ever get the chance to see wood duck boxes with babies jumping out of them, it absolutely is a leap of faith. I think I want it that way. I want to send this to the back. Send it backwards. I kind of like that. Could I make this just a little transparent? I feel like he needs an outline. I think that's it right there. What do you think? That's the money shot. When I get excited, then I know. All right, so I gotta name this. Episode 18. Nest Box. Version 1. Okay. So I create 3 of these every single time. So there's the first one downloading. So what I'm doing that you can't see is I'm kind of using notes on my iPad to kind of like play around a little bit with words. Why do you keep stopping on me? Just play. I wonder if I move this to a new window and get it out of our way, if it'll just play for us without a lot of challenges. I'll try that. I don't know about you guys. I need some kind of background music when I'm doing my thing. Okay, so let's go back here because we don't need the upload screen yet. I have another idea. How about like Light School? We're going tonight to see Thunderbolts. Why is it? Is there a? I see. There we go. My daughter is finally into Marvel, and I'm very happy about that. So Dustin's like the outdoorsy, conservationist, wildlife photographer, birder in the house. And I'm kind of the pop culturally. No, I do like being outside, and I do like camping and hiking and all of that. But I tend to be more of kind of the video game, live stream, let's go to a Marvel movie person. My daughter's kind of the middle of both of us, but guys, she's finally interested in Marvel movies after much convincing from her mom. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, so we've got our second one ready to go. We need one more. I need one more. So, okay, let's see. Flight school. I don't like the empty space down here. I probably should have moved this more like this and did something more with the flying baby right here, but I didn't. But that's okay. Oh, see that? I like that better. We're going to do this one instead. Silent Night? What are you doing to us, YouTube? We're not ready. Oh, here's the song that plays at the start of our podcast. But we're going to skip that for now. Deck the Halls. I don't know what you're thinking, YouTube, but we do not need Christmas music. Okay, let's see. What else are we going to do? Oh, I had another idea that I had written down earlier today when I was thinking about this. Winging it. Oh, I didn't like that happened. Okay, hang on. No. See, this is where I kind of lose my patience. God bless graphic designers, because this is not my jam at all. It's the one part of our channel that stresses me out a little bit, because it's not easy. But what if I did this and then layered it behind that guy? I don't love it. I think I'd like it better if it was... Maybe this will look better. Yeah, but see, now you don't see these guys. And now I don't even know that I like this caption. That's a little better. We're just going to go with it. We've got two really good options. I usually don't agonize over one of them. Okay. All right, that is done. Whoops, sorry guys. Lots going on here. Now what I'm trying to do is think about title. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to load this video up. Okay. I needed to take a look at something. It's a lot of stuff to keep track of sometimes, as fun as it is. Okay. So what should we say about this video? This video is about our nest box updates. We have 12 baby ducklings that fledged last weekend. I had already started on a draft. Okay, I think we're at the point now where we're ready to upload our first video. So I'm gonna pull this out of here so you can't see it. And it's also not in your way. And we are going to upload our video on the nest box jumps. Okay, there we go. We are uploading. Okay, so now we need a title for this. I like my titles to be nice and descriptive so you guys know exactly what you're gonna see. It's not hatch day, it's jump day. Let's just keep it simple. Babies have hatched. So what do we want to say? The wood duck eggs have hatched. In this exciting update, Dustin shares footage from May 14th to the 15th of hatch day, and then the day after, known as jump day. Learn what happens after the ducklings leave the box. Okay, so that works out well, but our music keeps turning off on us. There we go. I have some content that I always put at the bottom of our video descriptions so people can find information they need. So let me grab that next. Here we go. Right here. Whoops. I also like to call out right away that this is a replay. And then we're going to add those thumbnails we just created. I like this one. A little peppy. There we are. Okay. Nestbox updates playlist. So if any of you guys are looking for specific videos on our channel, we do try to keep pretty organized playlists for all of you. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking on my iPad. And while I sit up and watch TV at night, sometimes things will come to me and I'll jot them down. And one of the things that I was doing in preparation for this work today was thinking about the tags. So if you don't know what a tag is, and if you're interested, when you go online and you search for different things, that's what those tags are. They're keywords. And this is going to help people who would be interested in this kind of content to find it. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm trying to find something right now and it's not working out for me. That's okay. We're just going to leave it alone. There's a lot of tags that apply to this video. I think that's good though. Okay. Add an end screen. So this is basically when you see things. But I want this to be a specific video. This one. Okay. That's done. And then we need to schedule this. So our next video is scheduled to drop on Sunday. I'm going to have this one drop on Tuesday. Spread things out a little bit so we're not spamming our audience. There we go. That is done. All right. So that is one of the segment videos for the week. Now we go out to create. That was the Nestbox update. We have 2 more that we need to get up. Actually, you have 1 more because I already did the question of the week video before I logged in to do this work today. So the next one is going to be our featured topic of the week, which was all about how to capture images of birds in flight. So I have to think about what I want to do for an image for this one because I already used my favorite image of Dustin's, which is this one right here of the heron. I used that in the podcast episode thumbnail. So I don't want to use that one again because you guys want to see a variety of things when you watch our videos. You don't want to just see that. Okay, so birds in flight. Now I need to start looking at our photography and see what he has. And I can show you some things as I'm going through and doing that. I'll drag stuff over onto the screen. While I am looking, one of the things I will show you that, quite frankly, is not a bird in flight, but it's one of my maybe top 10 images of Dustin's that I love, is look at this osprey photo. Isn't it great? You can see he's got a fish in his mouth, in his talons. Dustin watched him actually dive down and grab this fish right out of the water on the lake that we live on. I just love this image. Like, he looks so fierce. And look at the talons on him. It's crazy how powerful these birds are. And he's absolutely beautiful, isn't he? All right, I'm going to leave that up while I look at some other images of birds in flight and see if I can find something interesting. I have one idea in mind already. So this is the other image that I had as an idea. This is from our yard last summer. As you can see, it's a dad coming in a dad, a male bluebird, with food for, you can see the baby here. That's a really cool image. I might use that one. But I have another one that would be, I think, really cool as well. I need to find it. Give me a second here. It's this one. So this is an image he captured of a tree swallow feeding its baby. Isn't that amazing? These birds are like so fast. I'm so impressed that he could get that. I think this is the image I want to use, not the whole thing, but I think this is the one we're going to go with. So, okay. We got to get ready. I'm going to make a copy. And we are going to get rid of these guys. I'm going to move this one here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I should check the, okay. How's our stream going? Excellent. Okay, that's good to know. We are going to use Canva's magic grab again to grab the stuff we want. So we're going to grab that. We're going to grab that. I think this is going to look neat. We will see in a second, though, won't we? So watch this. Look at that. Get rid of this. I was going to center it, but I almost like it better like this. I don't know what you think, but I like it like that. Like kind of off-center a little bit. I feel like we need to do an outline around this guy, though. So, okay. I have to remember where you do that. Oh, it's shadow outline. Wait. I want it really, really subtle. I know a lot of people on YouTube, their thumbnails have the thicker outline, but for photography, I want it just, honestly, the only reason I wanted it is so that the bird's wings stand out. Okay. Now, this is not what I want to use for my title. I need to look at my notes for a second. All right, let's see. What's in this folder? Okay, these are a little bit more serious, but let's see what we got. It keeps, so YouTube keeps complaining at me that every time I stop talking, it's mad that it's not hearing any sound, which is ironic considering that I keep trying to play music. Oh, there it is. in this audio library. No. Sorry, guys. I don't know what is going on with YouTube right now, but it's very glitchy. For me, on my end. Hopefully not on your end. And I'm trying to get some music going for us, so it's not like just dead air all the time, because that's depressing. But I have to use their audio library. There we go. Okay, YouTube. Don't complain about the audio. I've got music playing, so just keep it playing for us. Okay. Now let's come over here for my first title. The Art of So that doesn't fit. Okay. That's all right. We'll make it fit. How small do I have to get it to go there? So this, first off, needs to be... So it's not amazing, but it's good enough. Featured topic, version 1. What's the saying? Perfect is the enemy of the good, or something like that. I had a boss who used to tell me that all the time. All right, the art of flight shots. That's a little bit on the nose and very specific, but that's okay. So I have to tell you, I don't know if there's any Gen Xers on the line, or Jay Giles fans or whatever, but when I was trying to think of what to call this freeze frame, that song Freeze Frame just kept coming into my head. It was absolutely hilarious. So I wrote it down and we're going to give it a shot, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to fit it in here. Actually, this will work better. Flying freeze frame. Oh, I think I know what I want to do. Freeze frame in flight, I think sounds better. Let's try that one. I wish Dustin wasn't so busy right now because he would probably have better ideas for this since he's the photographer as far as what kind of fun little captions we could have here. All right, there's the second one. We need one more. What else did I come up with? Nailed the shot is one of them that I had. Focused on flight. I like that one. Get it? Focused camera. Flight. Let's move this down like this a little bit. And move this a little bit. All right. I'm sure my graphic design friends would have all kinds of suggestions for me, but we're just going to go with it. It's okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have our 3 thumbnails. Now I need I like this one. This is a good song. But focus, Lynn, focus. Now I need our title and our description. And I think what we're going to do is keep this simple. So, all right, we are going to upload a video. I need to go to the right folder. Here it is. And what did I put for my title? How to photograph. Whoops. Birds in flight. Examples and tips. There we go. Okay. We're doing good. I just need the content we always put at the end of our videos, which I can copy right over. This one's a little dramatic. This song. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. So this is featured topics. No altered content. No AI. Okay. What did I have for tags? don't even know what time it is. I can't believe it's already after 4. Today's flying by, man. What I really need to do is get a live going where you guys can hang out with Dustin while he's editing his bird photography, because when he's doing that and I'm just hanging around in the room, he always has lots of really cool stories about the images he's captured and what was going on with the birds, or he's telling me about the bird or something like that. It's really, really cool. So yeah, we'll have to do that sometimes too. But I have never done a live stream of just hanging out with you guys while I'm working on edits for the channel. And I knew I was going to be sitting here. And quite frankly, I have a new computer at my desk. And I kind of wanted to test out and see if I really try to flex her muscles, how well she was going to work if I was doing all this kind of editing and whatnot at the same time as I was live streaming. And so far, so good. Okay, that's it for tags. So that's all done. There is so much that goes into this stuff sometimes, guys. We're going to do these. And link it to that. And this one is going to drop. Oh, and now you hear the wonderful singing voice of Nominiled, our dog. All right. So we have accomplished an awful lot today. We got all of our videos for the entire week. We made the thumbnails, we wrote the descriptions, we edited the segment videos out of the podcast video. We created all the shorts. I still need to load those up, but that honestly is not very dynamic. You just load them up and it's done. So with that in mind, I don't even know how long I've been live streaming for at this point. It looks like we've been going for a couple hours now. I think we are going to cut it out here. I have not had anything to eat since breakfast. So I'm going to grab a snack before we go to the movies to see the Thunderbolts. Thank you to all of you who joined in to hang out with me. I think I'm going to do these segments from time to time. And again, yeah, I would like to get Dustin on here as well. And maybe while he's editing bird photography at one point, he can hang out with you guys and tell you stories about how he captured all of those images. But until next time, it was nice to see you all. I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. And we will catch you on our next podcast. And hopefully, cross your fingers that the weather kind of holds out and we can get some nest box footage and share that with you guys as a casual video next week in between podcast episodes. Have a good day.